Hey, what's up? I'm Justin with NRN, and welcome to the very first episode of Rierson's Racing Rant. That was a mouthful right there. On the phone with me is J.R. Rierson. What's up, man?
Hey JD, how you doing tonight, my
I'm
friend?
doing good, dude. I'm doing good. What you been up to lately? Everything going all right?
Oh man, everything just wonderful. Another day in paradise here in Siler City, North Carolina.
Oh, heck yeah, buddy. Heck yeah. Did you have any big plans for the race? Did you do anything special?
Yeah, I made sure I had plenty of beer, and nothing speaks family more than that, man.
So what'd you think of the race, man? Did you think it was a good one?
You know, it turned. It was a different turnout totally than I ever expected. So,
Me too. I was quite surprised because I didn't think it was going to be all that aggressive. I actually was planning on watching kind of a dull one there where they just kind of rode around for a little bit. Because, usually in the restrictor plate races, the race gets going and they kind of run nose to tail. And
yeah, like a train race thing.
right. And we never saw that. They were going hard for it from the drop of the green flag. Would you go out there and run the 500 if you had a car?
You know, Justin, if you'd asked me that 20 years ago, I'd probably said, hell yeah. I don't know, maybe I've got less to live for today. I might say, hell yeah. Somebody took in a car. Hey, somebody took Dick Trickle in a car, so.
Dick Trickle. Yeah, someone gave him a job. Man, you know what? I think if I was in that race, I probably could have finished in the top 10. If I just would have.
Absolutely. All you had to do was hang back with the
I know.
with the guys 2 laps down and crack.
I know. Like, I feel like I probably could have done all right in that race.
Well, hell, look what it did for Austin Dillon.
There is no way in hell that if, like, some of those cars would have finished the race, Austin Dillon would have won that race.
Yeah, and Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, those guys would not have had the finishes they did had, like, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and all those kinds of guys had not had the trouble they had.
Yeah, and I was expecting Bowman to show good.
Me too. Actually, he was doing all right there for a little bit, won't he?
Yeah.
He was quite surprising there for a little bit. You know what? He actually might be a little better than Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Hey, well, I'm Dale Jr. He past few years, it's just.
I just don't think his heart
did him so wrong.
I know. I know, and I don't think his heart's been in it though.
I don't either. When Teresa kind of took over things there,
and ran the company into the ground.
Yeah, ran the company to the ground, and he actually, I guess, pretty much lost his car, and had to go to the 88.
Yeah, I know. He lost his own dang car and then had to go drive for Rick Hendrick.
Yeah, and his dad is, the freaking intimidator, one of the big icons of the sport ever, and it's just.
Had his dad probably not passed away, he probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah. Well, something like that's got to stick in the back of your mind, it really.
Yeah.
The way I see it, of course, I know you probably remember watching that race.
I do. I have a very good. In fact, I always pulled for Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace, and so when Dale Earnhardt hit the wall, when I saw his car hit the wall, I actually was quite happy about it. Because I was never really a Dale Earnhardt fan, so I was like, "Oh, Dale Earnhardt's in the wall," and it didn't look that bad, so I was okay with it. And then afterwards, it was like, "Well, is he okay?" So
I got this feeling when he hit the wall. I just had this feeling, and then he wasn't moving. I remember we were sitting there watching that. And I said, "Something's wrong with Earnhardt." I said, "I bet he's dead."
yeah, because
no, man, no, he didn't hit the wall that hard. He hit it awkwardly.
well, what did it for me was, at first it didn't look that bad, but what did it for me was they interviewed Ken Schrader. Because Ken Schrader was the guy who went over to the car to check on Earnhardt because they had been in the crash together, Right. And so Ken Schrader goes over there, and the way they interviewed him, the way he spoke, and the way he looked, I knew something wasn't right.
Oh God, yeah.
Because Ken Schrader looked freaked out.
He did. I remember that. He just he has had this blank expression on his face.
Yeah, that's when I knew, like, he's not doing too good. He may be seriously injured. And then, of course, you know, like a couple hours later, they announced that he was dead. And it was, I could not believe it. Like, even though I wasn't a Dale Earnhardt fan, like, it's still, because he's so important to the sport.
Yeah, you know, he was, you know, whether you loved him or hated him, you know, it was like it's like one of those Dean Smith kind of thing.
Yeah, he's got to be there. Like, it was, like I said, I was never a fan of him. I never wanted him to win a race, but deep down inside, I think I always respected his abilities, and you knew he was just one of the greats. I mean, you knew he was great at what he did, and he just had to be in the race. He just had to be there. And when he wasn't there, it's like racing wasn't as fun anymore.
Exactly.
Because he was the kind of guy, I remember one time at Rockingham, listening on the scanner, hearing his crew chief say, "You're about to go a lap down, we need a caution," and him coming over the radio and saying, "I'm working on it." And not... And then 2 laps later, he spins out the first car he can get to bring out the caution. I mean, that's the kind of thing that NASCAR actually is missing. Someone who's like, "Hey, I'm about to go a lap down. I'm going to spin out that car in front of me so that I stay on the lead lap." I mean, that's
right.
There's only one guy that could get away with that, and that was Dale Earnhardt. You know.
Well, do you remember Junior spinning himself out?
Oh yeah, yes, I do.
They called a caution. I'm like, I cannot believe they're calling a freaking caution. You know, and he spun himself out.
He did.
That's just what he needed.
That's exactly right. I remember that. That was funny too. The Earnhardts, man. Yeah. They just, there needs to be an Earnhardt in the field at all times, I think.
Isn't there another Earnhardt?
Yeah, Jeffrey Earnhardt. Yeah, he's right now he's the only Earnhardt in the field right now.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I spent all day Sunday. I watched the race. You know, kind of off and on. I was flipping back and forth because you know when the wrecks are going to start happening towards the end of the stage.
Yes.
And so I'd flip over there, and I went. I went all day thinking that Bubba Wallace was Rusty's son. and
I bet you were surprised.
And I see they still got Darrell Waltrip up in the booth.
God.
You know.
I know. They still do.
I like Gordon. I like it. I like his commentary. I think he does a really good job of commentary.
Yeah, I like him too. But daggone, Darrell Waltrip, he never changes, does he?
No, and you know when he was driving, he was the whiniest driver that there was. You know, if he got spun out, if he wrecked or something, you know, he was the first one up there. Oh, it was so and so's fault. You know, I'll beat his ass first chance I get.
Yeah.
Driving the Tide car, you know, said that Tide stood for tears in Darrell's eyes.
I don't know. I would love to try it, but this particular 500, watching the cars and did you see how out of control they were just going straight? Because they lowered the spoiler height, so the cars had no rear grip.
What's up with that?
I don't know, but I tell you, it made it fun to watch just because the cars were so out of control, but I'm sure it wasn't fun to drive for 500 miles. Where you had a car that you couldn't control. It certainly made it fun to watch. I mean, NASCAR did their job where they were trying to make the racing exciting. They certainly did that. But I think as a driver, when you hear something like Brad Keselowski say, "My car is loose on the straightaway," that cannot be fun to drive.
Yeah, and that really shouldn't be happening. You know, when you're out in clean air and stuff like that, you should be pretty stable, I would think. I'd hate to be driving my little blue Honda down 421 or something, you know, and all of a sudden it just starts getting loose when I hit about 65 or 70. You know, what's up with that?
Are you driving a little Honda? Is it your same?
Yeah.
What did you drive before when I went to school with you?
Oh man, I had that classic Escort.
That's right. So you got your little Honda now.
Yeah, I got my little Honda now, and I'm loving it.
Nice.
Don't want to see Hondas in NASCAR, though.
No. Can you imagine a Honda stock car?
Oh, man, I'm going to tell you what. Mine has got, I think, 185 on the speedometer.
Yeah?
I think it would do it, but I don't have a pit crew, so
No,
I'm not going to try it.
You know, you never know, though. Little Honda getting in the draft might be able to draft all right.
I think it would. They handle really well. They're built really well and everything. But
I got
as
me
far as foreign cars in NASCAR, I'm not really for that.
Oh, really? You don't like the foreign guy? Hey, well, you know, there's a rumor going around that Nissan wants to come race NASCAR.
Is that right?
That's a rumor that Nissan wants to get in the NASCAR.
Well, if Toyota's in there, I guess,
because I think
Nissan should jump in there too.
I think NASCAR has some kind of rule, and I could be very wrong about this, and I shouldn't probably mention something that could be wrong, but I think NASCAR has some kind of rule where, like, to be a manufacturer team in NASCAR, you have to sell a certain amount of cars in America. So I think they'd have to do that. But Nissan wants to get in. I guess they'd race the what would they race? I guess they'd race the Altima.
I think that's probably their top of the line.
Because I know they got some sports cars. I know, but I don't know. In NASCAR though, they don't usually run the sports car type. Oh well, I say that, but they've got the Camaro this year. What do you think of the Camaro?
It was good seeing Chevy back out on the track again with a muscle car.
Yeah, I know, because they had been racing the Impala.
Yeah, and Impala's to me that's a family car kind of.
I know.
I mean, you get a two-door.
Well, yeah, our family had one. We had an Impala, and I mean it is a family car.
I had a '62 Impala.
Nice.
Yes, super sport.
That's cool.
Had a whole chrome package and everything. I think I sold that car for $50 when I was
$50.
About 14. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you think about this, but I'm thinking since Chevy put a muscle car in there, what about Ford and putting the Mustang in?
Well, I heard Roger Penske, the day of the Clash, had a press conference, and he said that changes were coming to Ford. Now, he didn't say what those changes were, but changes are coming to Ford because Ford right now has the oldest body style in the field. They've had that Ford Fusion body since like 2016, I think. And so they were going to get an upgrade. Now, in the Xfinity series, they already raced the Mustang, and I think that change he's talking about is bringing the Mustang to NASCAR, which would look so cool.
Aren't they running the six-cylinder Mustangs in the Xfinity?
Yeah, it is, because it's they have the Mustang in there as the body style.
I think it's the V6 they're running in it, if I'm not mistaken, and I may be, because I am a whole lot. But But the man needs consistency in his life.
Yes, he does. Even if the consistency means you're wrong, at least you're consistent at being wrong.
There you go. Make a career out of it.
That's right.
What you got. Just put if you put it out there stock, I would really love to see them one Sunday or Saturday or something actually put stock cars out on the track and do like a retro run or something.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun, actually. NASCAR should do that. Get like really old cars from NASCAR's past, right?
Yeah.
And have like an old race with them. Like, pick a year and say like, okay, your car has to match this spec of year of how the car was in like 1988, right?
Yeah,
and
whatever year they were racing it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and just have a fun retro race night. That would be fun to watch.
Hey, NASCAR, are you listening?
This would be fun. You know what I also think would be fun? So you know how I like the You know how I like the multi-class racing stuff, right? I like the multi.
Yes.
I think it'd be fun on like maybe All-Star Night to have a multi-class NASCAR race between NASCAR Monster Energy, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the truck race. Have all three series on the track at the same time.
Now that would be cool.
That would be cool.
And you're talking about running them in classes.
Yep.
At the same time on the track. That would be so super cool.
Have
right
all of
about entertainment.
That's right. Pick like go to Charlotte, take all three NASCAR classes, and put them on the track at the same time for a race.
I agree. That would be an excellent event to watch right there, and I bet you they could do a nationwide tour of that and probably sell out every super speedway there is in America. Wow, Justin and I hadn't even really thought about that, but that would be so cool.
Apparently NASCAR's never thought about it either.
Well, NASCAR, if you're listening.
Yeah. We've got your next two events planned out right there. A retro race night and a multi-class race.
Yeah. Just let us in on the promos on it.
I tell you what, we could probably set up some pretty fun racing.
I think it would. Maybe they'd let us set up a concession over on the side.
Concession. That's what we'd go in there with all these big ideas, and then they just move us to concessions.
Oh yeah.
Those two guys.
T-shirts over here.
Those two guys are crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. Without a restrictor plate, how fast do you think one of those NASCAR stock cars could go? No restrictor plate, and he's just flat out on Daytona by himself. I wonder how fast he could go.
I'd like to see.
Because Bill Elliott, Bill Elliott is the reason why they have restrictor plate racing now, because he went, 214, 215 miles per hour, something like that?
He set the record, I think.
Yeah, that no one's ever going to be able to beat ever again while they have restrictor. But I would love to take the restrictor plate off. I just want to see how fast one of those puppies could go.
I'd love to see it. And I think it would enhance the racing experience greatly.
Well,
because
it certainly scared the shit out of the drivers. That's for sure.
Well, it might will when they put their foot down on that thing and it actually, sucks their ass back to seat.
Yeah.
Like it used to. But but I think it's some, they've got them all set so equally. It gives no one else a chance to get out of somebody else's way. If you have a little more gas under your foot sometime, you see somebody coming up on you, and they're not going to be able to stop, they're going to hit you. If you could goose that thing just a little bit more and get some more speed out of it, and you miss that wreck.
Yep.
Well, I don't like restrictor plates either. I guess you just found that out. But
well, isn't it interesting that NASCAR was when Bill Elliott went 215 miles per hour. NASCAR said, "Whoa! That's way too fast. It's getting to the point of this is dangerous. We need to change something to make it safer." So they make them all run in a big pack, go in the same speed, so that if one car crashes, it takes out the entire field. How is that any safer?
Well,
right.
There you go.
I mean, I don't think it's any safer. I mean,
it's a lot less safe.
Well, JR, man, this was good getting to talk some racing with you, man.
We love NASCAR.
We certainly do. Hey, who do you think's going to win the championship this year? Who are you liking?
Well, first week you're already asking me that.
Man, we got. Spot, I know we got to know. Who do you think? Who do you think's going to go all the way, man?
Well, all I can say at this point in time is I think the guy with the most points is going to win it. What do you think?
That's a safe bet, I would say. The guy with the most points. Daytona's not a good gauge of who's going to be strong anyway, because it is pack racing. But so I think we'll get our first look at who's going to be tough at Atlanta on a 1.5 mile track. We'll get a good look there.
Right. Well, there'll be a little bit different rules on the 1.5-mile track.
Yeah, a little bit different package there than the old plate racing. Well, JR, it was good talking with you, man.
Well, it's always good speaking with you, my friend.
That's right. I'll see you next week on NRN. I'm Justin.
I'm JR.
All right, take it easy.